Now, Aristotle, 2,300 years ago, codified in his book, The Refutations of the Sophists, I should say, the dozen most common logical fallacies in human discourse. And what is fascinating about these fallacies is that just about every single one of them is, in fact, used by the global warming extremist movement as the basis for saying that we have a problem with the climate. Let's just have a look at some of these very briefly. Oh, he's messing around. Come along, sir, pay attention. Next slide, please. Good. So here's the first one. You've all heard this one. They say global warming is terrible and we must do something about it and close down the United States and the West generally and give lots of money to left-wing countries all over the world because there's a consensus. And you hear they talk like babies. There's a consensus. Now, there's a consensus is intellectual baby talk. The consensus fallacy, the head count fallacy, is one of those 12 propounded by Aristotle 2,300 years ago. In every generation up to and including mine, everyone who hoped to aspire to any level in government would have gone to a school where he would have been taught grammar, a thorough knowledge of his own language, logic, this kind of thing, and rhetoric, how to put it across. As you can tell, I was taught all three. But nowadays people are not taught this. And it's only because they're not taught logic that people can come along to them and say, there's a consensus, and expect them to believe that therefore they have to accept there's a problem with the climate. The very fact that there is a consensus, even if there were one, which there isn't, would not tell you anything about whether or not what that consensus is said to be about is true. After all, there may not be very many of them. They may not agree on what they're said to agree on. Even if they do, they may be wrong. So science does not rely upon consensus. It never has, and it never will. And every time you hear the argument from consensus, then you know what you are not being given is science. And as the late Michael Crichton used to put it, if it's consensus, it isn't science. If it's science, it isn't consensus. So that's number one.